If you don't mind, would you like to come to my place? That day, I invited a beautiful homeless mother and daughter who had asked me for $1 to my home. A few days of sleeping rough had taken a toll on them, but after a bath, I was shocked at how incredibly beautiful they were. When I asked for details about their situation, I was stunned into silence by their past. A week later, Mr. Eastwood, the CEO of a major client, showed up at my house and said, "I want you to handle the contract." My response to his words was, 15 years ago, in the summer. When I was a fifth grader, I, David, was called to the teacher's office by my homeroom teacher, Mr. Anderson, during recess. I hurried to the office. This was the third time I had been called in about the same matter since the day before yesterday. "Mr. Anderson, I've told you many times, but I swear I didn't take John's eraser." Young me insisted desperately, but Mr. Anderson sighed deeply and looking troubled, said, "I see. But David, 3 of your classmates said they saw you flush John's eraser down the toilet." "I don't want to believe it." "But didn't you have an argument with John last Friday?" "So, do you think I did it too, Mr. Anderson?" "No, it's not like that, but it's human nature to want revenge when something bad happens, right?" Feeling unjustly accused, I angrily explained to Mr. Anderson. "Last Friday, John took my goggles during swimming class and wouldn't give them back. When he finally did, he threw them on the floor as a joke. That's why we argued. But he apologized afterward, and we've been playing together during recess this week. There's no way I would do such a thing to John." But Mr. Anderson crossed his arms and said something that was hard to believe. "David, I really don't want to say this, but one of the students who reported you is Sam, the son of a very wealthy man. His father is the CEO of a big company, and his mother, the PTA president, is quite influential. It's very troublesome for me if they become my enemies." "So what are you saying? Are you seriously telling me that I should falsely confess and apologize to John for something I didn't do?" "Well, that would be the easiest solution, but even I think that's a bit too much." Outraged by his unthinkable comment as a teacher, I felt my blood boil with anger. I couldn't help but raise my voice. Noticing the commotion, other teachers in the office started murmuring, "What's going on?" Seeing this, Mr. Anderson got flustered, cleared his throat to cover it up, and said while glancing around nervously, "Anyway, let's discuss this again tomorrow." However, deeply shocked by this incident, I started experiencing such severe mental stress that it nearly led to a distrust of people. From the next day, I frequently fell ill. Whenever I walked into the classroom, my classmates would whisper and look at me like I was a criminal. Despite this, Mr. Anderson never publicly stated the truth. One day, after about a month of enduring such painful days, as I was about to head to school as usual, putting on my shoes at the front door with my backpack on, I was suddenly struck by a severe headache and collapsed on the spot. Eventually, my body stopped responding to me, and I could no longer attend school. A few years later, after moving out of state, I felt somewhat relieved and my health became more stable. I was able to start attending school again from middle school. The painful incident where I was falsely accused gave me a new goal: to become a lawyer. I wanted to help people who were suffering just like I did. I wanted to be a voice for those who couldn't speak up for themselves. With that determination, I studied hard every day. My effort was worth it, as I got accepted into Department of Law in a college. After graduating from college, I entered law school. And at the age of 23, I successfully passed the challenging bar exam. After more than a year of judicial training, I also passed the final exam without any issues, and finally, I was able to become a lawyer. Like I had always dreamed of being. One night at midnight. Now, at 29, I'm constantly swamped with unpaid overtime, and once again, I barely caught the last train home. Becoming a lawyer turned out to be completely different from what I had imagined during my student days. I was happy to be appreciated by others, but the pay was lower than I expected, and I often got stuck with cases that senior lawyers didn't want. Additionally, listening to clients' complaints makes the time fly, and before I know it, it's time for the last train, just like today. Feeling somewhat dissatisfied with my daily routine, I couldn't help but let out a big sigh as I held onto the handstrap on the train. Thinking back, I spent my school years studying and never had a girlfriend. If life is this tough, it would be nice to come home to a cute wife who welcomes me with a smile. I muttered this to myself as I arrived at my station, getting off the train with a gloomy expression. Remembering that my fridge was empty, I thought about stopping by a convenience store on my way home as I exited the station turnstile. Near the bike racks, I noticed a woman holding hands with a little girl who looked about 2 years old. Upon closer look, I saw that the woman was a fair-skinned, short-haired beauty. I couldn't help but be captivated by her. However, I wondered what could be the reason for her being here with a child at such a late hour. Feeling a bit suspicious, I kept an eye on them, but when my stomach growled loudly, I quickly headed to the convenience store. However, a few minutes later, when I came out of the convenience store with my dinner, I noticed the mother and daughter from earlier watching me from beside the streetlight. It seemed they had followed me from the station to here. Seriously, being followed is like a horror movie. Their behavior made me shiver with fear for a moment, but then I saw the little girl next to her mother start to fuss. Without thinking, I found myself speaking up. You seem to be in some trouble. What's going on? As I got closer and asked, the mother, squatting to comfort her daughter, looked up apologetically and said, "I'm really sorry to ask, but could you spare $1? We're very hungry, but we don't have any money to buy food." Until now, I hadn't noticed from a distance, but up close, I saw that their clothes were quite dirty, and their hair was greasy and unkempt. Not sure of their situation, I guess they might have been unable to go home for some time. Feeling sorry for them, I thought for a moment and said, "Maybe $1 isn't enough to buy anything, right? Let me treat you tonight. Please pick whatever you like from the convenience store over there. It's so late that other stores are probably closed. I'm sorry I can only offer to buy something here." She shook her head vigorously and, almost in tears, said, "No worries. Thank you so much for your kind words to us, especially after we just asked for money out of nowhere. I promise I will repay the money you spent for us today someday." "No, there's no need to repay me. It's not a big amount. Please, get something for your daughter to eat." That's why she was fussing, right? Smiling kindly at the daughter hiding behind her mother, I led them back into the convenience store. A few minutes later, while buying sandwiches and snacks, I suddenly asked the mother about their situation. "So, you were at the station with your daughter at this hour because you don't have a place to go?" She hesitated but then admitted that their electricity, gas, and water had been cut off. Even though the nights were cooler, it was the middle of summer. Without air conditioning, their room must have been unbearably hot. Imagining their plight, I couldn't just leave them and decided to bring them to my home. This might seem intrusive, but would you like to come to my place? Your daughter is still young, and it's dangerous to stay outside like this. You've already treated us to dinner. We can't possibly." They were hesitant about my offer, but the exhaustion from the heat wave must have worn them out, and they eventually accepted my offer. I guided them to my apartment and let them in. Initially reserved, they were soon delighted with the air conditioning. I offered them to take a bath first. It must have been days since their last bath, so they probably wanted to freshen up quickly. I quickly explained how to use the shower and whereabouts the shampoo, and handed the mother some clothes that my sister had left behind. Meanwhile, I hurriedly prepared the bedding, heated up the food I bought from the convenience store, and laid it out on the table. "Thank you so much for your kindness. You've provided us with food, a bath, and a place to sleep at this hour. We can't thank you enough." After getting out of the bath, the mother sat her daughter at the dining table and appreciated me as she spoke. In response, I smiled and said, "No need to thank me. I happen to have the day off tomorrow. Please, enjoy your meal." I gestured to the food I had bought, offering it to them. At that moment, the daughter, no longer able to endure her hunger, eagerly took a sandwich from her mother and began to eat it with great delight. Next, the mother also said, "Thank you so much," and began to eat the sandwich in front of her with gratitude. Let me properly introduce ourselves. I'm Anna, and my daughter here is Lily. We haven't had anything but water for a while. So today is our first meal in 5 days. We were really in a dangerous situation, and you saved us. Thank you so much," she said, smiling with joy as she ate her sandwich. Shocked by the fact that they went by 5 days without food, I paused mid-bite. "My name is David. I had no idea you hadn't eaten in so long. I thought it might be rude to ask personal questions when we just met. But I'm really worried now. Could you tell me more about your situation? At my words, Anna hesitated a bit, but when she saw Lily happily reaching for a second sandwich, her expression softened. Then, making eye contact with me, she seemed to steel herself and slowly began to share their story. Anna and her ex-husband, Jack, met during their freshman year of college. Being the daughter of a company president and having attended an all-girls school, he was the first male friend she ever got close to. His friendly and easygoing nature quickly drew her in, and with his persistent advances, they started dating in their junior year of college. Both secured jobs at Anna's father's company, and 3 years later, they got married. However, when their daughter Lily was born, Anna's father was suddenly accused of tax evasion. He continually asserted his innocence, but the stress caused him to collapse, and his pre-existing health condition worsened, leading to his death. Afterward, Jack took over as CEO, but his personality drastically changed. Anna endured daily verbal abuse, which took a severe toll on her mental health. He called me ugly and a parasite every day. Then, his late-night returns increased, and I discovered he was living with another woman. 6 months ago, he demanded a divorce, and Lily began to fear him. So, we got divorced, but he took almost all our assets. I was determined to be independent and not rely on anyone, but the mental strain was too much, and I often fell ill. Because of this, I lost the job I had finally. As she spoke, tears welled up in her eyes. The story was so heartbreaking that I found myself at a loss for words. Lily's tendency to hide behind her mother or look a bit scared when she saw me must have been because of her ex-husband's behavior. Understanding this, I made a proposal to them. I'm actually a lawyer. Not sharing the marital assets is a violation of civil law, so you could sue him. Gathering evidence on other matters could also get you substantial compensation. While a lawsuit is emotionally taxing, it might help improve your situation. If you need assistance, please let me know. I'll support you fully. She looked a bit surprised and murmured, "You're a lawyer?" After pondering for a while, she earnestly asked, "I can't decide right now, but if it comes to that, I would appreciate your help." Although she conversed with me with a bright smile, I knew she was hiding a lot of pain. She was likely holding back her emotions to avoid worrying Lily, who was beside her. As a mother, she's trying to keep the atmosphere calm for her daughter. How could her ex-husband abandon such a young child and his devoted wife without hesitation? And take most of their assets to live with another woman? Thinking that, I felt like Anna's ex-husband was a demon, and the more I listened to her story, the more my anger simmered. The second morning after they came to my place, while sitting on the sofa in my pajamas, watching TV, Lily woke up and climbed onto my lap, snuggling up to me. Pointing at my face, she smiled and said, "Dave." It seemed she finally understood I wasn't a bad person. "That's right, my name is Dave. You finally remembered." She was so adorable that I almost wanted to nuzzle her chubby little cheeks, but I didn't want to be disliked because of my stubbly beard. So I held back. Looking closely, I noticed her well-defined features were just like Anna's. "Lily has really taken a liking to you." She's generally shy around men, so this is the first time I've seen her being playful like this. Anna, who had just woken up, said this in surprise. Laughing, I responded, "It feels like I have a daughter before getting a girlfriend," as I patted Lily's hair. Anna watched us with a gentle expression and then quietly said, "I wish I could snuggle as good as she is." Surprised, I asked, "What?" and she blushed, quickly retreating to the kitchen. After we finished breakfast, Anna started packing, saying she would visit an uncle who had always been kind to her. "If you're worried about imposing, please don't. Lily seems to be comfortable here. And I would feel more at ease with you both around rather than being alone. Thank you, but I feel like I won't be able to move forward if I keep relying on you." My uncle and I were close, but I felt guilty about burdening him with my problems. However, I've decided to take the first step and visit him. My suggestion was politely declined, as she felt it might be too much to accept. However, it's a good thing that her feelings about not wanting to inconvenience others are changing, and she's learning to rely on people. Thinking this, I handed her $500 from my wallet and said with a smile, "Please come to me anytime you're in trouble. It's okay to tell someone when you're struggling. I think you tend to endure until the very end." Hearing this, her eyes filled with tears, and she said gratefully in a trembling voice, "Thank you. With that, the two of them appreciated deeply at the doorway once more, saying, "We'll visit again," and waved as they left. A week later, during the afternoon, a man in his 60s, introducing himself as Anna's uncle, visited my home. His name was Thomas Eastwood. I recognized him that he is the CEO of Eastwood Securities and a client of our law firm. By the time he learned about Anna and Jack's divorce, she and Lily were already missing, and when he asked Jack, all he said was, "I don't know." Because of that, he considered the possibility of a crime and desperately asked the police to help search. Until Anna and Lily showed up on his doorstep on their own a few days ago. I was able to reunite with the two of them thanks to you. I heard you gave them a place to sleep, food, and even listen to their troubles. So today, I've come to thank you. He said this with a warm smile. In response, I humbly said, No, it was nothing significant. Anna's father, my brother, was the CEO of Eastwood Electrical. He was accused of tax evasion out of nowhere. But he was an honest man who would never do such a thing. After his death, for some reason, Jack took over as CEO. Despite my brother telling me his eldest son, who was abroad, would succeed him. This whole situation feels very suspicious to me. His gaze was earnest as he spoke. Although I couldn't say it to her face, I had suspected there might be something behind Jack's sudden change when Anna told me her story. I nodded in agreement immediately upon hearing his words and shared my own thoughts. I don't know if Anna is aware, but Jack recently remarried and has been living lavishly with the assets he took. This enrages me. And I want to sue him considering all the suspicions arising. What? He remarried? After making Anna and Lily suffer so much, how could he? Our law firm has some of the best lawyers. And I'm sure we can help you, Mr. Eastwood. Angrily, I replied, but he shook his head and said, No, I want you to handle it. It's rare to find someone as sincere and trustworthy as you. I don't just need someone to recite laws, I need someone who can appeal to him on a human level. For Anna and Lily's sake, I would like to ask you. David. He said this, extending his hand to me with conviction. Remembering Anna and Lily's situation from a week ago, there was no room for hesitation. Eagerly, I shook Mr. Eastwood's hand firmly and said, The pleasure is mine. Thank you. Thus, I teamed up with Mr. Eastwood from Eastwood Securities to thoroughly investigate Jack. Later, when I looked into Jack's family registry, I discovered he had been adopted as a child. Finding this suspicious, I contacted a detective agency we've worked with for years to delve into his background. What they uncovered left me stunned as I jotted down notes during our call. Jack's biological parents ran Smith Iron Works, a subcontractor for Eastwood Electrical. During a severe recession, Eastwood Electrical terminated their contract, plunging Jack's family into financial hardship. This event caused his father to disappear, his mother to be hospitalized with a mental illness, and his family to break apart, leading to Jack being put up for adoption. I muttered to myself and then called Mr. Eastwood. I then called Anna, and at her request, we arranged a meeting with Jack included. On the day of the meeting, we rented a meeting room at our firm where Anna, Mr. Eastwood, Jack, and I gathered. Lily was with Mrs. Eastwood because she cried, "I don't want to see Daddy." In the tense atmosphere, I told Jack about our investigation into his background. Were you harboring resentment towards Eastwood Electrical, and specifically Mr. Eastwood, Anna's father, for your family's misfortunes? Did you marry Anna as part of a revenge plan, spreading false rumors to oust her father? Jack scratched his head furiously and, with a pained expression, began to speak. Yes, when I met Anna in college, I saw it as a chance for revenge. I pretended to love you, Anna, and eventually married you. I spread the tax evasion rumors to make Mr. Eastwood suffer like my family did. Hearing this, Anna looked down sadly, and her uncle, Mr. Eastwood, trembled with anger. Trying to remain composed, I continued questioning Jack. You say you didn't love her, but did you really mean that? Could you really marry someone and have a child with them without any genuine feelings? Shut up. I never had any feelings for Anna. She was a pampered girl who never knew hardship. All I felt was disdain. I never asked for Lily, Anna decided that on her own. Mr. Eastwood pounded the table in rage. I was relieved that Lily wasn't present in this chaotic scene. After a moment of silence, Anna began to speak. Actually, I knew from your family registry that you were from Smith Ironworks. I suspected you might have approached me for revenge. But I wanted to believe you loved me. I thought that if we lived together, we could become a real family someday. Tears streamed down her face as she spoke. Shocked by her revelation, Mr. Eastwood and I exchanged glances. Jack also looked surprised and distressed. Anna, are you an idiot? It's obviously for revenge. You think living together will make you a family? How delusional can you be? My father regretted what happened all the time. He made a terrible choice to protect his company, but with so many employees depending on him, he felt he had no other option back then. So, as his daughter, I wanted to at least make you happy, Jack. Hearing this, Jack fell silent, looking down. With tears in his eyes, Mr. Eastwood said, "If I had known this, I would have stopped your marriage with all my might. Maybe my brother wouldn't have died wrongfully. When I was in elementary school, I was falsely accused of taking John's eraser, which led to me being unable to attend school. The unjust way Anna's father died felt painfully close to my own experience. As various emotions of anger and sadness welled up inside me, I stared sharply at Jack. He suddenly looked away from everyone, his voice trembling as he spoke. Yes, I did want revenge, but I never thought it would lead to his death. I wanted to hurt him mentally, but I never imagined it would come to this. When I realized what I had done was irreversible, I was scared of myself for a moment, but at that point, I felt there was no turning back. I thought I had to see it through to the end, and I let my heart be consumed by evil." Soon, the sound of his sobbing began to echo in the meeting room. Mr. Eastwood watched with a pained expression, and Anna continued to cry silently. Later, based on Jack's confession, we discovered he had illegally altered the company's registry to list himself as CEO. Therefore, Mr. Eastwood and I sued him for the crime of forgery. The company was then handed over to the previous president's eldest son, Anna's brother, who had been overseas, just as stated in the will. A month later, during the afternoon, Anna, Lily, and I were shopping at a nearby mall. Anna planned to return to Eastwood Electrical once Lily was a bit older, intending to support her brother, the new CEO. As we walked and talked, the three of us came across a children's event happening in front of us. Looking closely, I saw that the event involved drawing a family portrait and submitting it to the staff to receive a raffle ticket. "I want to do that." Lily enthusiastically ran towards the event. Grabbing some paper and colored pencils, she began to draw something dynamically. Watching her from behind, Anna smiled and said, "That drawing is probably you, David." When she draws me, she always picks my favorite color pink, but today, she's using blue. Really? I guess she associates blue with me since I often wear blue ties and pajamas. As we chatted, Lily finished her drawing and turned to us with a big smile, holding up her artwork. "Done. Dave." On the paper she handed me, there was a large blue potato person and what seemed to be flowers at the end of stick-like arms. I took it, stared at it intently, and patted her hair while praising her, saying, "That's amazing." Anna peered over my shoulder and laughed. I knew it. When we handed the drawing to the staff, they seemed to assume I was her father. I didn't correct them and played along, securing the raffle ticket. They asked if it was a drawing of her dad, and I reflexively said yes. Do kids usually call their dads Dave? Well, some families do call each other by their names. It's not that strange. That's true. I really like how Lily adorably calls me Dave. Even if I actually became her dad, I'd want her to keep calling me that. I said this to Anna, then suddenly realized what I had implied. What was I thinking, talking about becoming her dad when we weren't even dating yet? Worried that I might have made her uncomfortable, I glanced at her. She was blushing and mumbled something under her breath. With all the noise around us, I couldn't hear her clearly and asked, "What is it?" But she seemed embarrassed and quickly changed the subject. A week later, in the evening, Mr. and Mrs. Eastwood kindly offered to watch Lily and said, "You should take a break for a change sometimes." So Anna left Lily with them for a few hours, and she and I went out for dinner together. She arrived at the chic restaurant wearing a sleek dress, a striking contrast to her usual practical clothes, which highlighted her beauty even more. Looking back, this might be the first time we've met alone. Realizing this made me nervous, and I found myself thirstier than usual, repeatedly ordering drinks. Thanks to you and my uncle, I heard Jack's true feelings and got the company back. I feel so relieved. I wouldn't have had the courage to go to court alone. I'm really grateful to have had you both. Her face looked brighter and more peaceful than before. Seeing her like this, I felt a renewed sense of fulfillment in my work as a lawyer. Although the long hours and hard work remained unchanged, Mr. Eastwood's influence had raised my profile within the firm. I was praised by my colleagues for handling the case well and felt more determined than ever to approach each case diligently. Then I thought, I really want to get revenge on Jack. As I was lost in a happy daze, she suddenly, and slightly tipsy, said. Startled by her mention of revenge, I instinctively asked. What? Did you say revenge? Yes, that's right. Despite everything he did, he went on to be happy with his new girlfriend. It's unforgivable. So, after thinking it over, I decided I would get revenge on him. That's quite a dangerous proposition. I mean, considering his past actions, it's understandable, but how exactly do you plan to get revenge? I asked nervously. She chuckled mischievously and suddenly grabbed one of my hands tightly. By the three of us, me, Lily, and you, Dave, being as happy as we can be. I want him to deeply regret leaving such a great woman. After all the pain I've been through, I feel like I was meant to meet someone wonderful like you. So, I hope you feel the same way. She said this, looking up at me with tear-filled eyes. Blushing, I gently squeezed her hand back. Anna, have you had too much to drink? At that moment, I realized that the word she had mumbled a week ago at the shopping center was Dave. It was probably because I had mentioned how much I liked and found it adorable when Lily called me that. I don't want you to forget, so I'll say it again when you're sober, but I really do like you, Anna. Your kind words about Jack touched my heart. And I realized I want to spend my life with you. So let's make sure the three of us become so happy that everyone envies us. When I said that and smiled at her, she also smiled happily and said, yes.